to the Concert Queen Connects. So excited. I say that every week, but I'm really excited for Mr. Jonathan Terrell.
Hello. She was bluffing last time. Tonight, she's really excited though.
For real, for real. JT, do you like to be called JT or Jonathan or?
Yeah.
You.
Jonathan Terrell, JT, whatever you want. Whatever you want.
JT.
Yeah.
Well, that's what so we were introduced by one of our favorite people, David Wrangler, Disco Cowboy Vinyl Ranch. Yeah, we got the disco ball in your honor, David. So, and last time you were here, actually, there was a shorts party. I don't know if you recognize.
Me, Wrangler, and Josh T. Pearson.
Yes.
Texas legend, Josh T. Pearson.
Josh T. I had no idea.
Shorts competition in there.
Literally. So we had
9 a.m.
At 9 a.m. they had tacos. I had to go do work, and I leave, and I'm like looking on Instagram Live, and you just see for like an hour these 3 like grown men in like the shortest of shorts and just having a grand old time.
Yeah, a lot. We're trying our best to embarrass David.
But I think that was like what it was just like for him. Yes. But it's so funny because he just is so stoic too. Like he can keep his cool. Like it's fun, I think, to see you kind of like push him to see if he'll break, and he doesn't. He's like,
he won't, but then he'll hold it for a long time.
Yes.
And he'll go,
yes.
He'll like duck off.
Yes. He'll duck off.
We're like, ooh, I got you, boy.
Yeah. And I don't know how my roommate and producer Steve was asleep the whole time. The whole thing. Like, I was watching. I was like, oh my God, Steve's going to like hate me. And I texted Steve's like, I didn't even know that was going on.
Well, a couple times we're like, is anybody home? We're like, surely there's not a chance he's going to be, there's not a chance he's here. Like,
I just left these three, shorty short cowboys.
So the continuation of that led to us standing in your yard for like an hour having talking.
Oh my God.
And like there's work being done on a couple of the houses, like one across the street and one next door at the time. And it was just like a lot of disapproval, a lot of just like, cause we're all wearing like super, like very short cut off jeans, but they're sitting there like we're talking about like touring and like what we're gonna do with this and 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 it was just all these construction teams that were just like,
I mean, are you sure it was looks of disapproval, or was it like
there could have been a couple secret?
There were lookers
in there.
They're trying to see if anyone else was checking you guys out. That's so funny because this neighborhood,
a couple cars slow down and they're just like.
Well, we were talking. I mean, you guys just should have. You're all property musicians.
Taxes are going to go up this year,
right? Totally. They're like, okay, how can we raise her rent now? So, but besides that, I mean, David had told me about you, and I had been in the scene and I'd heard your name, listened to your music, but not actually like. So what's great about you is I actually got to meet you first before I even saw you perform. So I think that was really, really cool. I saw you, met you, and then went to your show. That was my first like concert out of quarantine at Sagebrush.
Oh yeah.
So how was that? Like, I know you had done like Love and Light Stream, and did you kind of like, when did you start kind of coming out and feeling more comfortable to do shows?
In college, honey. No.
That was good.
That's great.
He's back. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it was just hard to find the right shows because at the time, like, my drummer's wife was pregnant, and it was like, my mom had COVID, and it was, and so it was kind of like, okay, like I want to see my parents soon, I want to go check on them. And it's like how, and all the guys in the band are just like, hey, there's people that I want to see that I can't see until like, we know everything's cool. Yeah. And so just having to go, okay, well, we also need to play because we're all going broke. And how do we do this? But how do we do it safely? Yeah. So a lot of it has, we've done a few shows, but they've all had to check certain boxes before we can do them. We've turned down, 80% of the shows. Wow. So there are still things happening, but like, unless they have certain kind of protocols in place, then we couldn't really commit to them,
Yeah, which I'm sure is tough because, like you said, that is you're a performer. Like, first and foremost, like you're a songwriter, artist, and to get out there and not have that, I'm sure was tough. And then to actually turn down something that you love is probably really tough.
I saw, but where I was doing some writing out today, and like a mutual friend of ours that I was the guy I was writing with, came out to do some work on his ranch, and he's got this like massive like 78 like blue Chevy pickup that's like, you know, huge wheels. It's bad to the bone. And he was just like, how is that, like, you know, not being able to tour? And I was like, it's like having that thing in your garage and not being able to drive it. I was like, you see it and it's like you could drive it and it's there and you want to, but it's just like it's gonna hurt somebody, you know. It's like,
which is tough.
So it's tough because it's like, you know, I got COVID from doing a show, and it was it was like I couldn't be on unemployment anymore, and it was like, these are the cards I have to gamble with. Like I get one hand and like that's it. Like, you know, and it was just something simple, just like talking to somebody after a show of like, you know, and but it you know, it as safe as we had been like for, you know, over and over and over. It was just like after shows, like mutual friends like sat down at a picnic table, like, I mean, this far away from somebody.
Really?
Yeah, like just but it was, you know, we were had a drink and it was like nobody had any symptoms, and then next day they're just like on the phone like, hey, so we saw you last night and get ready. And you're just like, oh, okay. And then, you know, had to cancel shows, had to like, you have to like do that thing of like, you know, where you got to call everybody that you saw.
It's like the STD, but like the weird. Yeah, that's terrible.
I'm not saying you don't have it.
Yeah,
but
there's a chance.
Don't smear me on that Facebook.
Which is so, and I feel like there has been just like this scarlet letter with it. You know, I had it back. I was like not patient zero, but I had it back in March, and it was so like frowned upon to like speak out. And I know exactly where I got it, how I got it. And it wasn't even from being out and being social. It was like a very, you know, intimate gathering, and just happened to take a shot out of a tequila bottle that I knew as I was doing it. I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. And boom, like went down in 2 days. And so I hear you. It was not fun, but
stuff
hopefully.
You still think about. And it's
it's because it's so normal now.
Yeah.
Or used to be normal. It's weird even like going back and watching shows and having that reaction, like, wear their mask. Where like that's a lot of people in one place. Like, how does that?
Yeah, like on movies and stuff, you'll see like some, you know, some big group on a movie, and you're like, what the fuck is it? Where's their fucking mask?
Like have a visceral reaction to it. So how is that? Like, I know with touring, and what was your favorite thing that you missed the most from not touring right now?
Do you mean like what was my favorite thing from touring?
Yes.
I mean, I think the big part of it is just like every time you're out there and you're doing, like, you finish a show and you like meet people and you have a great experience, and the crowd's warm to you, and you feel like you made a step forward.
Wow.
And it was like, so every show was an opportunity to make a step forward.
Wow.
And I like, and that's hard for like somebody like me that can't stand still, of like, I always feel like I need to be on the go. I'm always trying to like work on a next project, or like, you know, design things that are happening for myself, you know, 6 months to a year from now, of like, what does that look like? What's the world going to look like?
Wow.
And to have that cord snipped is like, you know, like you kind of, so I miss that feeling like of being productive.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's like, you know, like this year has been you know, it zigged and everybody's learning how to zag. So it's like, at first it was like, okay, I can't feel this certain thing about like having my, you know, foot on the gas and like, you know, barreling down the highway, but you know, sleeping in motels or whatever. But you can do other stuff. Mm-hmm. There's always work to be done on the JT farm, you know?
So you said, I was listening to one of your other shows that you had done, and you're talking about like how active you were during quarantine and doing all these different things. Like, can you tell people kind of about some of the different, you're just super, super active. So What were some of the things, like a yoga challenge and
sure. Yeah. Yoga and like, but I mean, I feel like, I don't feel like bored is something that people are allowed to do. It's like, if you're bored, that's your own fucking problem.
Yeah.
Read a book, do something else, like get a hobby, like fill your time in some kind of meaningful way, but like, don't waste it, And so, I mean, like, yeah, it was like, we were working out a bunch. Me and my lady were like doing yoga and stuff because we didn't have anything else to do. It was like, oh, you want to do yoga twice a day and go run 6 miles? Yeah, sure. Let's, and then so we're like, let's just get ripped for we don't have any, shit else to do.
Wow.
So, but then it was kind of like, I did spend like a week and a half of like going, okay, I guess we're just not going to be able to tour till June.
Wow.
I was like, and then when it got closer to June, and it was just like, maybe not to the fall. And then I was just like, well, I've got this record in the can. I'm not going to wait on it anymore, know? And so that was a big thing that we start, like, she helped me out a lot with that of like, it was a big project that we sat down and started of, okay, I'm going to put this record out by myself, you know? And, just kind of sitting down. I knew I couldn't afford a really good, PR company without being on the road and paying for that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I just studied a bunch of PR companies, that I wanted to hire and
really?
like looked at everything that they were doing, who they were talking to, like what they're, who they're getting for their clients and like why, and like certain people that were writing for certain things and just making this like, giant, like crazy string thing.
Yeah.
But basically it was just like, okay, like I want to talk to these people and I need to interview with that person. This person gets it, but this person doesn't get it. Or like this is person that I feel like would gravitate to my music more, and then just like reaching them on Twitter or digging up emails or calling like, oh, I have a mutual friend with them. Like, calling in friends and just being like, hey, can you set me up an email with this person? And just kind of like after a while, it was just realized that I had more contacts than I knew I did.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, I'm just going to be my own PR team. Wow. And then sitting down and writing like, 500 and something individual emails to people going, hey, this isn't some company. This is me. I'm putting out this record by myself. It's the quarantine. Let's fucking party.
Yeah. And what was the response like?
They're really open to it. They're just like, okay, like, all right, I'll check it out, Yeah.
Cause they're probably not used to that. And they're used to seeing like, I mean, you're more than likely willing to open something and see that like, wow, this person's going that extra mile. Yeah.
And that was nice for them to acknowledge. And it was like, it was cool that they weren't doing anything else, you know? And
that's true.
I mean, it's not like they were, traveling or whatever. It was just kind of like everybody's kind of in the same spot of like, we can't go anywhere.
Right.
And everybody's stuck to their phones. Mm-hmm. So I know you see that email. I know you saw that email come in.
I'm watching you.
So you got no. I'm on to you.
Yeah.
I seen you was on Twitter today.
I know you seen my message on IG. It said seen. So,
but but people were really receptive to it because it was just kind of, nobody's really doing a lot of anything else. So
yeah. That's amazing because I
learned a lot.
Kudos to you. I can only imagine because I think that's one of the things when I'm talking to artists now, it's like music has just changed. There's all that like power shifting with agencies and things closing and C3 having issues and all those. And it's like, when you really think about it, the people with the power, I feel like, are the artists. So the artists are the ones that you're the fuel to the whole fire and the jet engine that's taking off. But without that jet engine, like you said, it's like, where do you go from there? So that's amazing that you were able to do that. So and this was for Westward, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So Westward's your latest album. I'm fascinated with the story of that. I guess you were touring in Europe. So can you tell people kind of like that the whole concept for that?
Sure. I was talking to this. It was in the same night I was talking to this guy. I was in France, and I was playing in a town called Angers, and I remember this guy. Maybe this was in La Rochelle, and this guy was like, he's like, I don't know what you say, but the vibe is cool. And I was like, he was just like, he had no idea, but what the fuck I was talking to. But it was like, the style of music that I was playing was like, he was really intrigued.
Wow.
So I was talking to this other guy about it later, and he said, yeah, one of the things that, out of like thousands of years of art and culture and history that Europe has and prides itself on, the one thing that they can never fully replicate or copy in any way is like the feeling of the American West, of like that it's such a an alien place to them that it's like, wow, unless you've ever been, but it's got a certain mojo to it that just doesn't exist there. And so there's this whole culture there that's like completely enamored with that, that idea that of culture. Like, culture that's just kind of like this, like raw, rugged kind of perseverance, but it's got like, this like deep sensitivity to it, wow, but it's still like stark and beautiful at the same time. It's like all of these things that, that they want to replicate. Like, you hear it in, like French, like rockabilly is still super popular there. And
really?
It's like, you hear these kind of like Western tones, and you hear them like kind of dance around the feeling, but like, yeah, it's like, it's like hearing like Swedish folk bands,
right?
You're like, you're not from the Appalachian Mountains, honey. I could tell.
Yeah,
I can tell.
But you're so right. I feel like in France too. I mean, I think of France, and you think of like Daft Punk, all these like French electronica,
sure,
kind of the music, like you said. But it's like, it's so interesting too how you can be like fascinated with another culture, but we can, as Americans, are fascinated with European culture and all these other like parts of the world that you forget. It's like in your own backyard.
Yeah,
that whole, and I think that's amazing. How did you? I'm curious too, as a country artist. Like even taking it back, country, or what would you? I know you're not even definable.
I know.
We're not going to define you.
I'm in the genre, but people are still always like, "Are you real?" I'm like, "Look, man, do you like the music? That's what it is. Whatever.
Rock.
It is what it is. So,
yeah.
You decide.
Yeah.
Let the viewer decide.
Yeah, which is great to be. Yeah, I heard you say that too, where someone was like, "So what is exactly this type of music that you would define yourself as?"
Timeless American music. I would say that.
I like that.
I would say timeless American music.
I like that a lot. So how did you even get started? Your sister, right, is also in music as well?
My whole family.
Your whole family. Okay. Family, yeah. So is that where your love of music started?
Yeah. Growing up, my folks were in a band, and my sister, I do have a sister that studies music in Nashville. She was an opera performance major.
Wow.
and then went up to Nashville like to sing and write songs and stuff. But everybody in my family sings and is trying to out sing everybody.
Really?
Every holiday. Yeah.
How many brothers, sisters do you have?
There's 7 of us.
7?
7 kids. Yeah.
Wow.
4 sisters.
Where do you fall in that?
I'm number 5.
Do you have 5th children? Fifth child syndrome?
I don't think I have any kids. No.
But you know. But like in that whole, so you're the 5th one, and then you have 2 younger.
Right, 2 younger.
But like boys or girls?
Both. Yeah, one of each.
Boy and girl. Wow.
I don't know. I think that the middle child syndrome for me would be neutrality. Like,
yeah,
I've always just been kind of like, you guys do whatever you're gonna do. I'm gonna go do my own thing, But also, I'm the only one out of 7 kids that doesn't have any kids or isn't married, So that can give me some more freedom for me to do whatever I want to.
True. I mean, I'm right there with you. Like I've kind of been like my brothers. I have 2 younger brothers, and they're both like in relationships. Have 2 nieces, and so that's something that like I see it, but it's like that's not necessarily the timing for me at this, and I'm totally fine with that. Like it's never been something I think I've personally never felt pressure.
Yeah.
And I think there's even more pressure as a female. Like, you know, they're like, oh, your clock's ticking, you know, and like, cool, like keep it going.
Oh, great.
Like, but there is a lot of pressure, especially with that. But, you know, to be one of 7 is pretty unique too. Is all your family in West Texas or where are they? All over?
Well, I grew up in East Texas.
East Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right on the Louisiana border, like Northeast Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my folks are still up there, and, yeah, I got a couple siblings there, but then I got siblings in Fort Worth, Nashville, and Houston.
Wow.
So everybody kind of in LA.
Oh wow.
So it was like
so y'all
everybody
fled the
kinda,
nest.
Everybody was like, "I'm 18, I'm out." You know.
That's awesome. 18, and then so when you were there, and like just like you said, everyone's trying. Is everyone like singers, or like did you kind of were you like your parents telling you like you got to play guitar, you got to play, or were you just kind of?
I mean, my dad played it, so it's like
okay.
You know, when you're a kid, you're like, well, I want to do that, you know. And it's like whenever I finally showed like genuine interest, where he was like, okay, you can play my like super dope guitar, and I'll show you some chords, but you know, you got to sit down with it, you got to put the strap on, you know. It's like
wow.
And it was like, you know, there's some pretty heavy ground rules because he's got such like a sick guitar, like this. I think it's like a 56 Gibson acoustic that he's had our whole lives. So it's like that's the sound of like my youth, you know. And so I feel like when I passed a couple tests of his that he was like, okay, maybe get you some guitar lessons and you know see how it goes. But I don't think he had any intention of being a musician. But I remember when I did tell him that I wasn't going to go back to school, I wasn't going to go back to college, and I was going to be a full-time musician. He goes, well, I figured it had to be somebody. He like didn't even flinch. He was just like, so somebody had to do it, you know?
Wow. So your other siblings, even though they're involved in music, they didn't like pursue that professionally? Right. Wow.
And my older sister did for a while. And then, you know, she got married and had a couple kids, and it was just like, you know, 3 kids, you know.
Wow.
And at the time she was like, yeah, I want to be like working and, you know, but like having 2 or 3 kids is a full-time gig. And then I know this year she was gearing back up because all the kids were in school. She was gearing back up to like, you know, get back into a lot of writing. And then they're just like, okay, Nashville, like homeschool.
Oh,
you
man.
know? And then so she's like, well, now I'm homeschooling the kids and I'm going to write a song one day. And I'm like,
wow.
So, you know, it just things happen different, you know, for different people, but she still has a lot of great songs and she's put a couple albums out that are beautiful.
Wow.
She's got a killer voice. Her name's Ariana Evans.
Ariana Evans.
Yeah.
To check her out.
Yeah, she's
That's awesome. So then when did you, like you said, was it 18 that you're like, I'm just going to go for music now? And
no, I think I was like 22, 22, late bloomer. I didn't even write a song till I was like 21 maybe.
Really?
And those are horrible songs.
We should bring some of those up from the archives.
Yeah, they're in there somewhere. But yeah, and then you know, this is some people don't believe me, but it's actually really true. I actually flipped a coin to move to Nashville or Austin.
Whoa!
Because I had a brother that was living here and a sister in Nashville, and I was like, well, either way, I'm going to go to one of these towns and play music. And I got a couch to crash on in case shit goes south, you know. And so yeah, it landed on, you know, Austin, and I was like determined. I was like, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to be like the next town's Van Zandt. And I'm going to earn all these songs. I'm going to like, you know, slug it out on the streets and,
wow,
you know, but,
so are you happy with, so you've been in Austin now for about how long?
Almost 15 years.
15 years. Yeah. Wow. So you remember Austin kind of from, you know, I guess, how would you say it's evolved from then till now?
Well, even when I moved here, people were like, it's trash now. You should have seen it 20 years ago. I was like, you know,
yeah.
But I mean, you know, I lived on South Congress, in those apartments next to Sea Boys.
Yeah.
And my rent was $400 a month.
Wow.
You know, for a 1 bedroom there.
Wow.
That's not going to happen anymore. No. Stuff like that. But just, watching the skyline change and, listen to the army of flip-flops that took over this town. Boys, put some boots on. Be respectful. Nobody wants to see them toes. But yeah, just like
now, yeah. I'm not gonna be able to unsee that now. Now I'm gonna be looking around.
You can't unsee it. It's
just an army.
Yeah, just you can hear them coming. Flippy floppy.
I didn't know what a flip flop was for the longest time because where I grew up in San Antonio, but my mom, I grew up calling them chanclas.
Yeah.
So it was like everyone was like when someone started. I think the first time I heard like flip flops was maybe in high school, and I was like, "What's?"
I always thought chanclas were just like sandals, like leather sandals.
Yeah, my mom would call them chanclas. She's like, "Where are your chanclas?" So it was, yeah, that's so funny. I'd never even thought of that. Yeah, Austin's changed, and I think like I've actually, this was telling David too, is like I've never been to Nashville. Yeah, which is like so wild to me, especially now, and even talking. I think
we're kind of on the same trajectory too of like, it's become
commercialism,
like a commercial, like cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it's just like condos and tech people and, that are, pumping a lot of money into the town, but then it's also kind of like everything gets more expensive. And then, one of the things, I mean, like, I'm sure you notice of like, and it's one of the big arguments of Austin of like, you're literally driving out the people that you moved here for.
Exactly.
Like the reasons that you came here, the same reasons people are like, I'm going to Nashville. It's like where country music is born, and
right.
And then like the people that are actually writing the songs are just like, I can't fucking afford a house here, even in East Nashville anymore. It's just like,
it's
so they're
crazy.
all having to like, do Zoom meetings.
Yeah. I talked to one of our clients that, in my, like, they do real estate, and he had a house, or someone of his agents had a house in Cedar Park, and because the market is just crazy right now. Mm-hmm. And there was a house literally that they had 80 offers on a house, and it went like $100,000 over asking price.
Yeah.
In Cedar Park.
Yeah.
Which is like back in the day, people used to be like, oh, you could buy a house for cheap out there. So,
I still don't want to drive to Cedar Park.
I don't either, but there's where the shows are now.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Cedar Park is another world too, that you just never, you just, like you said, if you don't venture out, like I kind of stay south in my hood. You're an east side.
Yeah. I'm like southeast, but it's also kind of like, well, if you're living in Austin and you're going out, like if you're going out to a bar or something like that, like I'm not going to get on a toll road to go to like, Cedar Park to go to a bar, then like drive back. It's like,
right. Totally.
It's a very expensive Uber,
Very. But just seeing how Austin's changed, and it's just, like you said, I think with music and with this happening, this is probably, it's tough. And it's seeing all the different, with like the, Save Our Stages and just everything with the artists is just, I think that's been like the hardest thing to watch too, is like you see there's so much talent here I think that's one of the things that like, I'm just so surprised, like not surprised, but just like, how are these artists not like just catapulted up the charts? Because there's so many amazing people here.
There are, but it's you got to think about one thing. It's the live music capital of the world. It's not the business music, music business capital of the world. It's like, so it's like, it's a great place to like, get tight as a band and like go out and like learn how to be a musician and stuff like that. But then if you ever want to do business as a musician, like, they're just starting to kind of bring some stuff in now. BMI has an office here now, but it's like, there's no publishing companies here really. There's no labels that are to speak of that are like, it's not like if you go to Nashville or New York or LA that you're like, you can meet with 15 labels in a day. Yeah. And they're probably all going to be in like walking distance.
Wow.
But here it's just kind of like, they're like, well, here's your drink tickets and, the next band's gonna be better than you, so better get good.
Oh my god!
You know, it's like better practice.
Is that a conversation that's actually happened?
Oh, I mean, I feel like it's like a healthy camaraderie between the bands of like, you want to play with bands that you know are going to give you a run for your money.
Wow.
You know, because you want to play a good show. And it's like, you know, if you don't want to like come in like half stepping, and then some band just like kills you, and then you got to go on next, and you're like, no.
You're like, I want to be a headliner next time.
Yeah. So I mean, but also it's kind of like, but when that band steps it up so hard that you're like, yes, you know, like those are my boys, like they're killing it.
Yeah.
And they make you play harder, and it's just like a better show for everybody, because then it's like, you know, the people feel like they really earned the, you know, the cover charge or whatever, and you know, like you know, they really took something home from it, and you know, it was worth it. Yeah. You know, that's a big thing. Is, you know, we want it to be worth it for the people that are showing up, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, it's cool to like, you know, rib your buddies and be like, all right, like we're going to cream you guys. And they're like, not tonight, dude, not tonight, you know?
That's awesome. So I didn't know that was kind of going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sweetheart kind of deal. Cause I mean, all these bands are friends. It's like, I really don't even like know any bands that have, I don't even know any bands that have other bands that they're just like, that band, we hate that band. Like, you know, it's like, no,
we'll see them in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
No, it's like, you know, take it out on stage, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's one of the things I think too with you, like as I was getting to know you and just seeing, you see, because it is such a tight community and how y'all comment, you know, everyone's commenting. I'm like, oh my gosh, that person, you know, JT knows that person knows this person. And it's just this, we were talking about that earlier, how it's like a small, big community. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you play enough shows with, you know, these people, and I mean, like they're your friends, and it's like you want good things for them, you know, because it's like, you know, the rising tide lifts all ships. It's like, you know, if something good happens to my band, then there's like X amount of bands that are immediately surrounding, you know, my band that I'm like, okay, well, that was good. Like, oh, these guys are great. You know, if I get some notice, you know, it's like, these guys are awesome. These guys are awesome. You know, it's the same thing. It's like, you'll get, you know, it's even like on like Spotify or something like that, like artists you might also like from this one artist, and you'll look on there and you're like, oh, I know like 10 of these people. You know,
my gosh, that's
like
awesome.
all my homies. You know? So with
you not moving to Nashville, but you're still obviously like, you have friends in Nashville. How did those types of interactions come about? Is it from tour life? Is it from just like social media now? Like, how do you guys get connected?
A lot of mostly, I guess, from like shows and stuff like that, and all of them wishing they lived in Texas.
That's right. That is the face. I feel like there used to be like a ding, like a little toothpaste commercial.
Yeah, we used to do that when I was a kid. My mom would be like, "Do you brush your teeth?" And I'd be like, "Ting," and she'd be like, "Go brush them now, for real." Like,
that's awesome.
But no, I mean, just, you know, going up there to play shows or going up to write songs, or people you meet on the road. Yeah. Where it's like, you know, a friend of a friend, and you're like, hey, I'm coming through town. Can I stay on your couch? And they're like, oh, you're homies with this band? Absolutely. You know? Awesome. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like bands vouching for bands, you know, of like, hey, you know, we're going to be in town. We're looking for a place to crash, or we're looking, you know, for a guitar player to pick up a show with. And they're, you know, it's like, you know, you'll have buddies from other bands, you know, like, you know, Alta Mesa or Myron Broussard or something like that. They're always like, oh, I got a buddy in this town. I'm gonna send him to your show if y'all need a place to crash, you know. And it's kind of like awesome. Those people show up to the show and go, oh, I know that you guys aren't like shitty people are gonna like rip me off in the middle of the night. It's like, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna stay at my house and play some poker and drink some beers, and then, you know, send you guys off in the morning with some eggs. You know. But and the same thing is like when you know those bands come to my town. It's like, you know, our town. Sorry,
it's your town. JT town.
Does not have a ring to it. No,
it's just not. I'm just kidding.
But you know, it's like you want to offer that, you know, same courtesy to them. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Who have you come across that you're like, that it was kind of one of your like maybe even like a bucket list artist or a meeting that you had that was kind of happenstance like that you were just like surprised, like, oh my God, I didn't know that's who this person was, or that's who I was meeting?
As far as like, I guess I would say one of the ones that's been like kind of crazy of I met the Midland guys like before they like blew up.
Really?
And we're always kind of like, whatever, fuck, like, just like we're all just hanging at the White Horse and just trying to be a bunch of urban cowboy kids, and then they just popping off and then it's just kind of like funny to like watch, like it's funny to just like watch them be on stage and like you'll see like girls like crying for them and you're like like we were at the pool yesterday, like it's like just talking about regular shit or playing golf or like writing songs or whatever and just like your homies. But I mean, I've met a lot of people that like we've played shows and then become friends, like at the show be like, oh, you guys are great, like we should talk, and then I think that there's also kind of like this I don't know, there's something that happens whenever you see when you're out and you're far from home and you see another band that's like also far from home and they're also working hard, then like you're like, man, we should have a beer, like we should talk. Awesome. And like like I know we're both far from home, we should get close and like make out. Like, want to make out? Yeah. Or just be in a safe place for a little while and just like chill out.
Well, it's that camaraderie too. I'm sure it's like there's things that you're, like you said, you're going through that I think only artists can only relate. Like you can only relate to something that they've gone through that like the average person is not going to have any clue of that, and that's what I think sometimes.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I'm sure of like, like the service industry people, like, I grew up working in the service industry and it's like, just having that rug pulled out from underneath them. It's, so we're, there's a lot of people that are still working or working from home, but it's like, if you're like if you're a bartender and, during COVID, it's like, you just watch your income or your Christmas disappear, and it's terrifying, you know? And I mean, so I can definitely relate to that,
Yeah. Are you pretty like, even like now with social media, like there's that opportunity. And I feel like with you too, like you're very like who you are as this person sitting here, like you're not, there's these other people that are very unauthentic or putting on this show. And I think kind of like what you see is what you get. And that's, I think, a testament to you and why people, I mean, you are this, like, I feel like you're just this connector too. Like the reason you're able to like make that phone call or do these things is because you've already paid it forward in some way too, to someone.
I've been on the road for 18 years.
Yeah. You have a grown adult.
Yeah, you meet a lot of people and it's like, I don't have like, I don't really feel like there's a lot of like ego involved. It's just kind of like, is that person worth my energy and like my time and my love, Wow. And if they are, then I'm more than willing to invest in that. Yeah. But if they're not, then I'm more than willing to separate myself from that.
Wow. Was there something that happened? Like, cause that's been a lesson for me. I think that's taken me a long time. Like I tend to want to help people to a fault. And then you have to, it's like this process where it's like you give too much and then you get burned and then you're like, okay, now I have to put some kind of boundary down just to protect myself. And like you said, to preserve that. Cause you're like, okay, is this person, you start to value yourself. But that's something too that I don't think, like for me personally, I didn't have that a lot. Like growing up, I was always trying to give and accept 5% of whatever I receive, what I would give out. So it's always still kind of shocking when people do anything for me. And I'm like, oh, like, it's because it's like I'm so used to just doing these things on my own, or like, hey, how can I help you? How can I do something for you? But you are very giving in a sense, but also like to know, like, hey, if this person is not going to reciprocate or do that.
Well, a lot of times, I mean, it's not necessarily that I'm like looking to get anything back.
Oh,
it's
totally.
Just like, it's like, it just, like, okay, I'll say this, for instance, I've been, as an artist, I've been promised everything that you can possibly imagine.
I can imagine.
And like for, like any kind of tour, record deal, like promotion, like anything you can, if you name it, I've been promised that, and for a while you believe those things, and you let yourself get caught up in it, and then you let yourself get down about it. But then after a while, you're just kind of going, hey man, I'll be grateful when I see the paperwork, but until then it's just kind of like, well, great, but I've had, a lot of people, I've had a few people in my life that, like, I've had to disassociate myself with, of, people that just turned out to be the wrong people to hang out with, and if I'm going to protect what I'm doing and continue to try to be in a good headspace to create, then I need to remove the blockage from that.
Wow.
And they usually know when they're fucking up, so it's not, doesn't come to a surprise, to them if I'm not returning phone calls.
Wow.
It's just like, yeah, well, call me when you're ready to handle yourself, properly.
Wow.
And we can make some time for you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But if you need help, I'm here to help. But
right.
Also,
that's having that, like, that respect level, people will respect that. And they know, like you said, they probably know.
They know
too.
And they're probably going to just go, oh, well, he's not returning my calls, I'm just going to aim that somewhere else at somebody else and just do this exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make, it's not necessarily that you're special in any way. It's just kind of, you just got caught in their tractor beam.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that I've noticed about you, and just kind of learned from just seeing different things with you. But you're very, like, you can let things kind of roll off your sleeve a little bit, and, just not letting those things get to you. I think that's just such a great lesson in general, just of not taking things to heart. You're able to kind of see it for what it is. I don't
have any enemies. I don't have any grudges. But also, I'm not gonna like coddle an idea that of like something that might not happen. Mm-hmm. It's just not gonna. Yeah. Like, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Like, happy to entertain it, but believe it when I see it, kind of thing.
I've definitely seen, I think that's one of the things, like, I've learned even more so now, is like, I look at everyone's intention, like, mm-hmm. being in the public eye and doing what you're doing. It's like you said, people, a lot of that too, I feel like is just so ego driven. They're just trying to, like, in the sea of egos, they're like, who has the bigger ego? And that's one of those things that, like, for me, I can't even go there with people sometimes, or I see it automatically. I'm like, this person's intention is just to advance themselves. And it's like, when you come from a place of servitude, like, how can I help you? First and foremost, it's not even about me. Yeah. That's one of those where I'm just like, it's not about that for everything. And I feel like that's how you've probably gotten to where you are as well. Like,
I feel like
lifting people up.
I feel like there's been a big shift as far. I feel like a big shift has happened during this pandemic too. Of like, it was last, not this past October, but the October before mm-hmm. last. I think a big change that I've seen during the pandemic is, and something that I was thinking about, not this past October, but the October before, was this like see me culture, where people were just like crawling over anything that they could to just like say, look how amazing my life is. And it would be completely false. And I was wondering, I was like, I was just watching this balloon just blow up and blow up and blow up. And it was like, when is this going to pop? It's like everybody had to be at doing the coolest thing, the best thing at all times. And it just has to be like, you just have to like, wow, like the rest of the world is like, this is insane that that's their life, but it's like, it's not. It's just these moments that happen.
Right. It's a highlight reel.
It's a highlight reel. And I was wondering like when that balloon was going to pop. And it was when COVID happened, you see so many people that were just like, well, I'm trying to go to like Ibiza and like, you know, like, well, what the fuck, what happened in Burning Man? It's like, you know, it's like how, you know, what am I going to do to make myself look amazing, you know? And then it turned out like the thing that they really connected with the most and probably connected with more people with online was like, they started growing squash. Or like, you know, they like started making pottery because they couldn't go anywhere for months.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, hey, I read these 10 books and now I feel like I understand this more, you know, and then they were able to have a discussion on those books, and that was more meaningful than like this, just kind of like, you know, I had 1,000 likes on this thing of, you know, and I mean, I will, you know, I admit I try to post some badass photos on there because people take
look like album covers, you know. I saw you and the tender thighs.
Yeah, you know, because it's like, you know, my good friends that I have are like super creative photographers, or like, you know, live concert photographers, or like, you know, artists, and all these ways that are you know, they just make, like, I don't look like that in real life. Y'all see?
What are you talking about? No, yes, you do.
It's all Photoshop, you know. But it's, you know, it's it's a highlight reel, and you know, but also like showing off those photographers and stuff that like captured that moment too, of like, you know, getting them, you know,
what's like a badass one that you're like, damn, how did like that's me.
There's always like one shot out of like every photo shoot that's like, whoa, and then you gotta save it because you're like I gotta save it. Like I was holding this one shot for like 2 months because I was like, I'm just gonna do it for the next show, for like the Antone's show. I was like, be at Antone's January 16th.
Oh, we will be there.
Yeah, tight.
Cheers.
You know, but it's
what was the photo?
It's the one at Austin Motel that I'm that's this photographer named Ishmael Quintanilla. I met him out at the drive-in show, and he took some like awesome pictures of that show, and I was just complimented on it. He was just like, we should do a shoot because I know that you're gonna get buck fucking wild on this stuff. And like he's like I know that like if I turn my camera on you, you'll give me something back, and it's not just, you know, like I'm like posing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, I know you'll go to work for me if I put my camera on you, and I enjoy that, you know. I do.
Do you?
Yeah, of course, because it's like, you know, you look back on those like iconic photos of like rock and roll history, and it's just kind of, you know, like if shit ever pops off, like one of those could be iconic rock and roll history things.
Totally.
You know? And I think that's cool. I think it's cool to be like, you know, to have like a amazing photo that like speaks volumes for you for decades, you know?
Yeah. I love that. And that's something Greg was here, who he introduced me to, which was awesome, which
I shot a lot with Greg. Greg's one of those guys that is like, he turns his camera on you and there's like this like silent connection where you just like, you can do anything.
That's exactly what he said.
You can do anything you want in Greg's eye, and he'll let you go to that limit, and like he'll let you figure out your own shit in front of his camera.
Wow.
And then, but he also does great direction too. He's just like, he's wide open for it, you know?
Yeah. Super introspective and like super in tune with photography and just, yeah. And I've seen some of the photos that the shoots and the photos that he has of you and just people in general, and being able to capture that moment. You know, Steve's a photographer too. And just some of the videos and the photos that he takes. I mean, I'm always, that's one of the things. And I talked about, you know, Modern Rocks Gallery. Like I love, there's just always those iconic photos that you see, and they capture these moments. But like you said, you're just like living your life. You're being the artist and you're connecting, and they're able to capture that moment.
I think with, I'll dote on Greg here for a second. I think a big thing that is probably 50% of Greg's photography is that you feel comfortable with him and you trust him. And it's like 50% is, you know, he's going to take some great shots, you know, like that's his talent. That's his knowledge, that he's studied it and he knows what the fuck he's doing. But the other half is like, do I feel comfortable with this person? Can I let my guard down with him? And then that's when they're able to show the real you with like the layer peeled off of like, is when you've let your guard down and you're comfortable and like you trust them, you know, and you want to be there, you know, you want to show that like inner light to them. Yeah. Because it's, you know, you know that they'll take care of it. Yeah. You know, that's amazing. I know I've even being in like this world and like, you know, my whole thing and why I even like started doing like, you know, Concert Queen was because I just got tired of buying tickets to shows. Yeah. That's why I started it. I was like, you know how much, if I was in medical sales, like when I first got started and I was just banking. And so all my money, people would be like, who's your sponsor? I'm like, I'm my own sponsor. Yeah. Like I'm buying all this stuff. That's where all of my money goes is to like shows and concerts and traveling and festivals and music and just connecting with people and, you know, long nights of that. But so it was always about the artist. And for me, it's still always about the artist. So, but then when I was doing it, I like started like a music blog with my friend. And it was one of those things where it was all about the artist. It was about the music. Yeah. And we met with like a consultant who was like a friend of mine about social media. And he's like, you know, like y'all are eventually going to have to get in front of the camera. Right. And we're like, no, like, why do we have her and I were both like super, she's a beautiful girl, like one of the most stunning people I've ever seen. But we were both like so self-conscious about getting in front of the camera and uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm not a model. Like I'm not trying to do that. It's about like, I love music and that's what I want to talk about. So it's interesting you say that because like I did, and I had that moment. I keep bringing it up because that is such a shift when you're able to have that comfortability. And I had shot with this like Russian photographer in LA, and it was my first time like in a bikini and like doing that. It was so like super vulnerable. I remember my first time too. In a bikini, yeah. It's you got to make sure like it covers the right areas. For sure. Yep. Yeah. I mean, you wear the shorts already, so it's like it's always a bikini. It's always bikini season. Yeah. In JT's world, of course. But it is like you know, I remember when I wasn't comfortable in front of a camera for a long time. Yeah, of course. It's like I never knew what to do, or, you know, like I never knew what good angles I had, or, you know, it's just, you just don't know what to do. But then it's like you work with a few really knowledgeable people and, you know, they bring it out in you and you go, oh, okay. And then you see the result and you're like, this is why. Wow. This is what, you know, like you can kind of check some boxes of going, okay, this worked. So it's, I didn't mean to take the floor from you. No, 100%. Like, yeah, it's amazing what you can like learn from yourself of like watching all the things that, you know, that you don't like, of like, oh, okay. Look, I'm like, I got a double chin when I do this. Like you're looking straight at my nose. Like one of your eyes is closed. Like, you know, you should take a shoot just like that, doing all the awkward poses. Just look like a hamburger, you know, hamburger face. Yeah. And, but yeah, I think, you know, but if you play music for a while and then you see the photographers like in front of the stage or something like that. Yeah. You know, you want to give them a good shot because they're going to be proud of it. They're going to show people. And it's just like, you see them, you're like, all right, I'm gonna do the jump splits. You know, are you a jump splitter? I can do it a little bit. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Steve, that's what we're doing after this. We're doing jump split. I've kicked over nicer cameras than this, you know. But no, it's kind of like, you know, once you know, at first I was really scared of the photographers. It was just like, I'm like, oh my God, like I'll just close my eyes or something like that, really? You know, and then like once you get to, you know, talk to him, like Daniel Cavazos really opened me up on a lot of stuff, you know, Sean Mathis, I've worked with him a lot, you know, and it just, you know, once you kind of like see what they're doing and then you go, okay, now I understand like the cadence that they're shooting at. They're shooting at like certain beats. They're like, you know, a lot of the guys, they're pretty knowledgeable about music because they're up there counting the beats with the band. And like when you like they're hitting it on the 1, they're hitting it on the 4 of like, they know when shit's going to happen. And you can watch them count it out, and then just to do something like to prep to go like, okay, I'm going to prep this on the 3. You're going to catch me on the 1. Wow. And this is our cue, like, you know, to line that shit up before a show. And it's like,
wow,
you know, you can get really great shots if you communicate with the photographer, you know.
That's amazing. I didn't know, because it's like you're up there and you're doing your thing.
We're in secret cahoots.
Yeah, I had no idea. You're like, all right, 1, 2 on the 4. Yeah, I was talking about Tamika earlier. Like, she's another one. Like, we went to.
She's got some great photos too.
Yeah, all the 4 of us and another friend, we went to the Love and Light stream. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she wasn't performing, but you know, she was there. And even with, she had like named one of the photographers that was there, and she's like, oh, I love this photographer. He always like takes bomb photos. He like knows my angles. And I was like, damn, like, okay, you're right. Like, okay, these photographers, like, you really get to know them and you have that relationship. And so she knows too. Like, she was like, yeah, I love him. Like, he's always getting the, and sure enough, he like posted, he was doing work for the Chronicle and like posted photos of her there.
And it's just like, I mean, it's just like that playing with like, you know, band members and stuff like that too, of, you know, oh, I love playing with this guy because he really sets it on fire on this song. You know, when I do this, he knows it's coming. He really sets me up. He's a, you know, this guy really, you know, accents what I'm doing. Yeah. And yeah.
Do you have someone like, or is that how like your band that you have? Have you been with these people for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a core band, but you know, but depending on people's tour schedules and stuff, you know, because I'm, you know, if I'm off or whatever, people, you know, my band's picking up other gigs. You know, they're all hustlers. You know, so they're playing in, you know, multiple bands. You know, so it's when you know you got your like A team on there, or it's like if you got somebody else coming in there that is like, you know, is just like a hot shit bass player that's just gonna be so good, or hot shit guitar player or drummer. You know, it's like, it's exciting because you're going, same thing, like he knows all my angles, and then like he's gonna make me look good, and like you know. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you have that camaraderie with your band, and you've got your core group. Like
that's the artist community that we have.
Yeah.
In Austin, you know.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, like you said, you like you're writing, so you like did some writing sessions today. Are you writing for other people? Are you writing for yourself?
Yeah, both. I'm just working on a new project for myself. I'm recording up in Dallas with a guy, Bo Bedford, and we just finished some tracks. But yeah, I've been writing a bunch.
Yeah.
Let's see, wrote with Paul Cawthon the other day. Today I was with one of the boys from Midland, and then worked on a track with the new Van Perry record.
Yeah.
And so bunch of people. Co-wrote what song? Not Nane's single.
Yeah, Daniel.
When I'm out on the floor. Yeah, Daniel did the vocal production on my record.
Really?
Like, yeah, we became really quick friends.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, he's killer.
Oh, I know Daniel.
Yeah.
He was we haven't revealed all of that, but he was my mysterious husband that I got like fake married to at ACL Live.
Oh, cool.
I did this like promo for them during, because it's so funny because ACL Live too is like the venue, like my favorite venue.
They're asking me if I want to get married on those. Pump the brakes.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Hold on, guys.
I'm down for a good bargain. But you can't get discounts.
Buy this.
You can't get discounts on True Love, you know. So you got
can't buy love.
True Love waits. Yeah.
It's so funny. But we did so they were promoting, trying to get the venue for like Week of Weddings, and they're like, "Hey, Clarissa." I was like, "Oh, yes, ACL Live. What can I help you with?"
Yeah,
you know. And I was going to use Adam, for me and Adam, who I think they call him I'm like drawing a because I don't call him that because he's like me and Adam, and he's like, hey, why don't you reach out to Daniel from Nane?
Yeah, you guys would be a good hot couple.
Well, it was funny because we actually, it was super intense because we, I had never met him. Well, I'd met him. I did like promo for him when they opened for the Black Pumas.
Yeah.
And so he was like, hey, can I like do a giveaway with you? And I like really wanted to go to the Black Pumas. I was like, let's talk, So and then I like saw him again at like the Austin Music Video Awards. But again, in passing, I was like, hey, you're the singer, right? And he's like, yeah. Like, nice. So then we went from that to texting, he hooked us up, and then he's like, can you, I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? Like kind of need and he was the videographer for it. And I was like, there's this concept I'm doing for ACL Live. It's a week of weddings. So I'm going to get like fake married, and I need someone to like kind of fill in for the groom. And so I love you, Daniel. That's why I'm saying the story. And
she's about to throw you under the bus, whatever happens.
But it was, so we get there and it's like so intense. Like I didn't realize like my heart was beating fast. Like I was dressed. I don't know if you saw these pictures, but I like made this hat that was like this super kind of like rhinestone cowgirl it was like Madonna meets Dolly Parton outfit. I was stoked about it. But then it's like when I got there, I was like, I was like hyperventilating. I was like, shit, if I'm like this now, how am I going to be? Like, this is a fake wedding that I'm literally about to get, and they're like setting up, and ACL Live is like staged.
Oh, can you imagine if you just like did it and was just like screamed or like ran down the aisle? Somebody came and got you, and like, if anyone protests, be like some guy in a mask. It's like, not fucking happening. She's coming to me.
Well, I was scared too, like I teased a little bit, and I had some followers that were like, are you really getting married? Like, it's like, I felt bad afterwards. There was like 12 people that like reached out, 12 guys. I was like, no. Like this was it's for promo. Like just wait for it. You'll see it. But so there's this part where, Daniel's there and he's got all dressed up looking jazzy. And I'm like, oh, okay. Pick the right one for this one, and like the other photographer's like, okay, like he's good looking dude. And I was like, yeah. Like we're like dressed to the nines. And I'm like going through and like, as I'm doing, I'm like, this is intense. Yeah. We had the moment where they're like, all right, we need you guys to like stare into each other's eyes.
I hope his ring was just a ringlet from his chest hair. I really do. Just, got it, babe. Hang on a sec. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God. He should have had, I think he had like, cause he's so for y'all that don't know Daniel, he's just like this burly, like Lebanese, right? Is he I think might be Lebanese.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's got this like mane of hair that's like envious to
every guy.
Every guy's like, he's got all these photos and videos of this mane. And so he's like, we're doing this thing and we have like, they're like, all right, we need you guys to just like stare into each other's eyes. And we're like holding each other's eyes. And this is also like we've been in quarantine for I don't know, like how many months now, 4 or 5 months at that point. So we're like staring into each other's eyes. And he's like, and we're both,
did you wash your hands?
Yes. And my hands are sanitized. And, so we're having this moment and we're both like, okay, we need to like take a minute to stop and like look away because this is so intense. Yeah. Like it was just like, whoa, for like going from zero to hero, getting fake married to someone, super freaking intense. Yeah. So it was like, and even afterwards, like I was looking at the photos because we did that and then we had to go to like the W and did like a photo shoot in the W, like in one of their suites, like jumping. And so those photos, y'all have never seen these photos.
I have not.
No one has seen these photos because they were it was like for me, it was so intimate. And I sent him a very nice message and I was like, hey, thank you so much. I will promo the shit out of anything you do, but I'm not going to be able to post these photos because they're so intimate and and I mean, it was a testament to us like owning it and doing it, but it was just like, damn, I was like, so he was like this mysterious figure and the like kind of blurred out in my photos that I did. And I still felt like, wow, so I mean, maybe one day, Daniel, he sent me like a page invite to his thing at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was up still working and I was like, go to sleep. He's like, you go to sleep. Cause we're both obviously like working at 5 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, maybe he'll be the next guest.
A lot of tension in those go to sleep. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Oh my God. I think he's going to be here. We're going to eventually have him. Maybe he'll be one of the next guests and we'll have to like tell that story because there's more to the story.
I want to hear that.
There's more, but we'll save that.
Daniel's a lover, man. He's a very sensitive, he's an intuitive guy, you know, he's got a beautiful sensitivity to him, you know? So there's no doubt in my mind that he could go, but you know, he's comfortable with himself, you know? So it's like, if you're like, Daniel, be sensitive. He'd be like, okay. No
Literally.
No problem.
It's like a move that he could do. Yeah. I mean, you did a photo shoot with your lady. That was amazing.
Yeah. That one, I got a sponsor in San Antonio, which is also the hometown of one of my favorite celebrities, San Antonio Banderas. But I got a sponsor in San Antonio called Richter Goods.
I'm very familiar with Richter Goods.
Mario and this and Bronte and so they make. I'm not wearing. I'm like, what am I wearing?
You're supposed to be wearing like
you know, it's cold out tonight.
You're right.
You know,
you're right. You're not sponsoring this podcast and this show, so we're not wearing.
Sorry, guys. But they did a collaboration with Pearl Beer. And so they brought us in to wear like some stuff for both of them. Yeah. It was
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Really
that
cool.
must have been fun to do.
Yeah. Was
that y'all's first photo shoot together?
It was. And you know, I do some photography and I've shot my girl a couple times.
She's so photogenic. I always say that. I always say how beautiful.
I'm not a model, and then she'd be like,
like she posted a photo, I think the other day. His girlfriend, y'all, is just like, sorry to break any hearts out there, but his girlfriend is like stunningly gorgeous, and I tell him that every time. Every time I talk to him, and she's probably like sitting right next to you, I'm like, your girlfriend's so pretty. She's so gorgeous, but I'm sure she's gorgeous inside and out.
She really is.
Yeah, to sit there and like you were saying, like help you with your album and do all these things, like.
Yeah, she's amazing. Super supportive, and you know, it's I'm a lucky guy, big time, and I know it. But she's that's also kind of one of the things of like some other brands they're like, oh, do you know any models that you would want to like take photos with? And I'm like, duh.
No brainer here.
Yeah, come on, y'all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So she's kind of like my go-to supermodel,
Yeah, I agree with it. That she's stunning.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to now? New year, new you kind of thing. Like, what are you looking forward to the most this year? I'm really looking forward to touring for Westward. Nice. Whatever capacity that means. I know I'm in a little bit better spot than some of the bigger artists that I know that, if they're doing, if they're usually selling out like 10,000 seats, they can't do that right now. Right. But if you're playing clubs and stuff my size, I can still play clubs at limited capacity. So however that looks, if they're going to be in pods, if we're going to do outdoors, if we're going to do it, however we're going to do it safely, I'm looking forward to getting that record out and showing it to people because we worked really hard on it. Yeah. And tell us about that. Cause I like, we talked about the name, but just all these collaborators and this labor of love. I mean, that's one of the things that I was so fascinated with is like, not only was just like your song process. So it's not typical. I think a lot of people will go and, sit there and write their songs and sit there with the guitar and then record it in the studio the next day. But like you actually test out your songs in the market, like market research in his shows and like doing that. And I was just fascinated with that whole process. You tell people about that. We would play. So we were playing a lot of dance halls and stuff. And if you couldn't two-step to the song, then it had to change. Like it had to change. It's like if you can't dance to the song, what's the point? If it ain't sexy, what's the point? Like I'm getting that tattooed. If it ain't sexy, what's the point?
and that's kind of that was kind of the thing of, you know, I'd make notes either on stage or mentally of going like, I watch the dancers that if they turn around and they look at you like,
do they really?
Yeah. Oh, they're very visual, very visually verbal.
They give you that stank eye.
Yeah, and so it's like if you're throwing them some beat that they can't do what they came to do, that they came to two-step all night long, and if you're throwing them some rhythm that they can't dance to, then they're just like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You know. And so yeah, we went and I recorded like half the record, because after I went back and took a lot of the songs back on the road and, you know, overhauled them until every song that on that record, I had a full dance floor for every one of them.
Wow.
I would be like, okay, now that's the rhythm, that's the beat, now that's what I want, and that just kind of changed everything for it.
Wow. But, is that normal for like artists to do that, or is that something? Okay, I'm just wondering. I didn't know. I just think that's amazing, because like it's like that's what I was telling you like earlier too, like how intuitive you are. Like you're looking to see like, and you care.
I do, yeah, and I think everybody. I mean, I think everybody has their process, but also it's kind of like, you know, it's, you know, they have their own secret concoction too. So I mean, they could be doing these that are just completely different, but they might be skipping a step or knowing something I don't know, and you know, tell me. You know, but yeah, it's just kind of you know, when it was the right vibe, the right tempo, then the audience lets you know, and that was a big thing of especially because, you know, all this, there was so many. I think I wrote 26 songs for Westward.
Wow.
And I panned it down to 10. And then, so The Love Can Find You Anywhere.
Oh,
little EP.
That's my favorite song. I love that song.
So that came out.
It
as
got me in my feels.
I know. I wrote that song for my little sister, and she actually, the one lives in Fort Worth, Michelle. And she sang harmonies on there with me.
Yeah,
it was her first time in the studio. She'd never been in a studio before, and she was adorable and like was really nervous. But my producer on Westward, like Stuart, made her feel like super welcome. And I was just like, Michelle, I was like, remember how we'd walk to the bus stop and sing Garth Brooks or sing like the Judds? It's the same thing. We're just going to be in this room, you and me sitting next to this mic, and you and me are just going to be in the back of the car. We're going to be in the back of the car and we're going to sing these, no problem. And she was just like, you're right. I'm
getting emotional. That's so like, that's so touching to like hear that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. She was
special and something that I'm sure, like you said, it's her first time to make her feel comfortable.
And I wrote the song for her, you know.
Did you?
I did. Yeah. There's a lot was going on, and, you know, yeah. And I think both of us were like, wound tight in some, political scenarios, and we just had to look past that and go, okay, like what's the bigger picture here? Like, big deal. Like, it doesn't matter who's doing what or, this and that. Like, we just need to be open to the idea of being accepting and, love will find you anywhere. Just be open to it.
I love that.
So
that even makes just those stories behind, and if I'm sure you have a story behind every single one of those songs.
Oh yeah, big time.
So
we'll start at the top.
One, like how much time you got, but that's one of just this labor of love. And I know you said too, like this testament to like to your brother too is very powerful with this record. Can you tell people about that?
So it was my brother passed away 3 years ago in November.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. And we were set to record first week of January, and it was like going in there when it was that fresh was like really hard, because a lot of these songs that that we were going to put on the record were like things I'd shown him before, and like things that like songs that he loved, that like I knew, you know, we'd talked a lot about it before. Like he was like my biggest fan. He was just like, what's going on this record? What's going to happen with this? Like, da, da, da. And he was so involved in all of it. And so I knew he was also my biggest like judge and critic.
Really?
Of like, if a song was not good, or he'd be like, no, dude. Like, is no.
Would you be surprised? Would you be like, what? Really, bro? Like,
no, I'll be like, well, where am I losing you? Why? Like, what needs to change? Because I trust, you know, he had great taste in music, you know, obviously.
This is Terrell. Hello.
You know, but you know, I did trust his taste in music, and, you know, and it was an open dialogue. And so like with Westward, there was no, a big part of the record that I'm proud of is like there was no ego involved in it. It was just like, well, if something needs to change, it's for the better of the song. It's not because I need to feel better about it. It's because the song needs to be better, or the song needs to feel better. And we need to push that notion with the band until, like, you know, as servants of the song, we need to do what the song is asking of us, and not trying to force our ideas onto what we think it should be. It's going to tell you what it wants to do.
Wow.
You know, and so there's a lot of that, of like a lot of stepping back and going, okay, like, where does it feel weird and why?
Wow.
You know, and fix those, make them feel good, make them feel fluid. And
wow.
You know,
so did you know, like you said, in those moments, I mean, you had so many different collaborators too on this, right? Like you had like Shaky Graves and all different types of people. So how did you know too, like when to stop too, like on a song? Or did you just know, like, was it collaborative, or were you the one that kind of said, okay, it's done, or just kept going? Yeah.
I mean, like we had a pretty like extensive checklist of, you know, some songs were just like, I knew exactly what it was going to be. They worked out great. But then there was some songs like I took a big thing that Ollie and Chris, Ollie, Shaky Graves, and his drummer and producer Chris Basada, when I'd finished the record, I'd finished recording it, and we were going to mix it. And I was like, guys, I needed an afternoon with you in the studio. You know, they're my friends. I trust them. I trust their musical taste, and I trust their like their intuitiveness with music. And I was like, we're going to listen to the album front to back. Any point a part comes up that just feels weird, or it feels funky, or like it's not completely like, you know, cohesive, like, give me a tap on the shoulder. I'm going to write that part down. Wow. And then we're going to fix it.
So how many did you feel? Lots of taps?
You know, there were taps for sure. Yeah. But like a lot of the songs passed the test. A lot of them finished them. They're just like, nothing needs to change on that. That's great.
Love that.
You know, but then there's like, you know, a couple songs, like we did a pretty big overhaul on Give It Time. We shaved like 1 minute and 12 seconds off that song. Wow. You know, and because it was just like, trim the fat, you know, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Like, you know, I didn't feel like a lot of people's attention spans could hold on to like a long record or like a 7-minute song or anything like that. So the songs were deliberately, you know, all pretty much around 4 minutes and under, you know, just to kind of like, so I'm making sure that I'm like holding the listener's attention, and, you know, because I want that. I don't want them to have to like work so hard to like get to the end of the song. I want them to like enjoy it and feel like it's a conversation, you know?
Oh, that's the best. And with your album in particular, you can just literally press play and then just let it ride. Yeah, and I love that.
It's a road trip song.
It is.
It's a road trip record.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
And I love my favorite albums in the whole fucking planet are like the ones that make like you put it on and they make you want to like get in your car and drive somewhere like in the middle of the night and just be like, you know what? I'm going to get out of town done. Like I'm going and just like shedding that skin of just going of I should be here now. I got to do this. I need to do this. And like, sometimes you just got to take some time for yourself and just hit the fucking road, you know?
Yeah. God, I wish I missed doing that. I don't think I've done that in a long time, but you're right. Like your album is a journey in itself. And I think what's one of the things too, I feel like you even touch about it too, is during these experiences, and you have these stories too, I feel like too, behind certain songs. And it is a mental vacation. I feel like, because you are, like you said, as you're these different lyrics and the things that you're saying and the process, it's like you truly do. I feel like as the listener, you get taken on this journey. And even though, you know, especially during these times where people need that more than ever, like I think your album just really nails that.
Well, thanks.
So
I'm working on some new stuff now, and I'm looking, and I feel like it's such like a, you know, such a big step from Westward, not away from it, but of just like, you know, I know what I was able to say with that record, and I just feel like this new stuff is just like, it's a big step. It's a big step, and I'm like kind of beside myself about it a little bit. Like
which way is the step?
It's as far as like it's just like it's such a healthy progression, you know. It's like you know, you put Westward on in the beginning of your road trip. This is the next album.
Wow.
You know,
that's awesome. That's gotta be a great feeling.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's exciting. Can you give us any tidbits or any when that's gonna be released, or do you have any kind of deadline on yourself?
I don't have any deadline right now. Just, I mean, you know, Westward just came out in August, so
right.
I wanted a little time for it, and so right now everything's feeling really good. The band have my road band on there, and they're all killer. Simon Page and Doug Day, and you know, so we're just kind of letting it hang for a sec, and you know, we haven't started mixing yet or anything. But we just want to go back and listen to the songs a few times and like start making notes.
That's awesome.
So we'll make notes, and then we'll mix some, and then we'll make some more notes, and then we'll make some more.
That's awesome.
And just make it, you know, earlier when I said, you know, when you're like, what kind of music do you make? And you know, I said timeless American music, and a big part of that is like I want it to be worn in. I want it to be, you know, the seams to be stretched out a little bit, and you know, feel weathered and comfortable, and you know, like approachable, you know. And those are the things that I try to do in the you know, on the front side of the record before it gets to the ears of anybody, to make sure that like when they hear it finally, it's like a conversation with somebody that they've already known forever.
Right.
You know?
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I think that is a great place to kind of, as looking forward into the future. We're going to do some musica as well. But how can people find you on all of the platforms?
Well, I'll be on the Concert Queen podcast.
That will be on everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere. Jonathan Terrell, you know, on the Googles, on the Instas, you know,
Spotify.
I'm on your
Apples.
parents' Facebook page. Yeah, Spotify, Deezer.
We'll have all. Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, he's on there. He's tired of my questions.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're definitely going to do this again. When I'm so happy for you, and that you're getting to do this. Just sounds like such a period too of where this could be a time where people want to sink and kind of feel defeated. I feel like you've really overcome that in the sense of like your labor of love, a testament to who you are, and just, you know, sky's the limit. So
you know, I still grapple with it in small doses, but
we're doing a really good job of hiding it. 'Cause it's
well, I mean, you know, it's in the, you know, it's in the quiet parts of the night, you
right?
know, but it's, I'm feeling good. I feel like I'm on a nice trajectory, and you know, I don't feel like yeah, like in a lot of ways, I feel like I've made it already because I'm in a place like musically where I feel comfortable and I feel good. I feel like I'm saying the things I want to say in the right ways.
Amazing. And so you got a show coming. You got a couple shows coming up, or?
I got a show coming up, January 16th at Antone's.
Okay.
I believe it's sold out.
Oh, sorry, y'all.
Maybe
we'll do it.
But I'm in another band called Not in the Face, and we haven't played a show in 2 years, and we just booked something at the Hotspot, I believe May 1st.
Really?
So we're gonna be announcing that.
So you are going out to Cedar Park
right now.
Sneak peek. So you are going out to Cedar Park.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was in the rider. I was like, I need a toll tag.
Steve and I went to the Hot Mess Fest last year in Cedar Park. And even
was that with Snoop Dogg?
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that was awesome.
It was Snoop Dogg. Who was it? It was like Ludacris. Cool. And it was like we went out there because it's so funny and I felt so bad at the time because they had like reached out to me when they first opened to promote. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm probably not ever going to go to Cedar Park for a show. And like here I am going to all these shows now. So I'm eating my words because you rock, Hotspot. We love you now. So thank you for bringing all these dope artists, having a dope venue. You're amazing. Love and Lightstream was amazing out there. Dope artist. Well, thank you so much. We're definitely gonna do this again. If you ever want to have a shorts party, this room is available for rental. Let's do it. We'll round up the troops. So thank you so much, JT.
The Airbnb, Air Boys and Boys.
Yes. Thank y'all. Bye.